I'm Cass and this is Honey.
And we're regular Canadians enjoying weed. And we're here with Jacobi.
Hello.
And we met Jacobi at Westfest, the best time ever, in Tofino earlier this summer.
And he was a champion, a winner.
Yeah.
A winner at Westfest, the best of the best at Westfest.
No, we were definitely happy with the results at Westfest.
You must have.
Pretty much my favorite company in the cannabis industry, Cleaner Meds, put in 3 entries, I think, or 4 entries, but they came in first place with hash, and they asked me to be their representative because they couldn't make it down to Westfest, so I got the trophy for them. And honestly, they're my favorite company. I love every product that they have, and they just keep knocking it out of the park, so I support them full-heartedly.
Look at that jar of weed.
May I touch one?
Yeah,
May I lift one up?
I'm going to stick my face into that jar and inhale deeply. Oh, it just smells so good. I just want to
smoke it?
Yeah, exactly.
bury my face in it. I'm too busy smelling it.
Smoke it.
What
did I?
Yeah, of course.
Here, and then we'll put this one.
No worries.
Look at this. Look at this cannon.
Beautiful.
As big as my hand.
We call them Jacobi fingers. They used to be called.
This is the Jacobi finger.
Yeah, they used to be called gorilla fingers, and then my people switched it to Jacobi fingers.
Yeah.
I can't really. When the people have spoken, the people have spoken.
Exactly. You gotta own it. The fans want, what the fans want. Oh my gosh. Like, there just was so, I don't know, there was just a time when seeing a jar like this was really unfathomable, you know?
For sure.
And it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. When I was young, and I saw a lot of it because my mom's a hippie and certain circles, right? So I saw a lot of it. So between my dad being a Rasta and my mom being a hippie, I think weed was just kind of in the blood. I started smoking weed when I was 9 years old. I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was like 6. And by the time I started smoking weed when I was 9, by the time I was 11, I was in foster care when I was super young. So I remember I was in an assessment center for at-risk youth called the Maples. And they had like a meeting, about me smoking weed, like this was a big issue, right? Because I was spitting out, they were making me take Ritalin, and I was spitting out my Ritalin, and I would only smoke weed. So they had this big meeting with my mom and a bunch of suits, and like, you know what I mean? The president of the whole show, yeah. And I'm like, I'm just gonna smoke weed now, because it keeps me calm, and like, I feel good, and those pills make me feel like shit, so I'm not gonna take them anymore. I was probably over 6 feet at that point.
You were forced to be reckoned with.
Yeah. So it wasn't like anyone was like, well, no, we'll just lock you down. Like, no, it didn't work like that, right? So I did, and I kept smoking weed. I got expelled in grade 6, and I just kept with the street after that. I never went back to school, right? So I still, to this day, when it comes to like math and certain things, I still have grade 6 education. I never went back. But I've learned so much in so many different areas that it hasn't really affected me.
It's true. Not everyone needs to be the same kind of smart.
No, and a lot of trades are transferable, whether they're in the black market, the gray area, or the corporate world. A lot of stuff that you learn is going to be transferable regardless.
Exactly.
I'm not surprised that school wasn't a good fit for you, and already with your earlier story, like they weren't trying to fit you and to cater to you and your needs, and being open to like what the right treatment is and what will make you literally feel good and be able to study and get this education if it's something that is important. But instead they're like, no, you can't be having cannabis, you have to be on those pills that are making you feel crap. Just
treatment needs to be a two-way street, right? It's not just we'll tell you what to do. It's like it needs to be communication about what's actually working.
And now look at you, like you have a very happy, well-functioning, awesome, successful life, and so it just shows us different roads to that success.
Things are definitely better now, but it comes with self-worth. Like the trauma in my life started really early. I lived with my mom in a single-parent home, and my mom had a boyfriend that would watch me when I was a kid, and while she would go to work and stuff like that. And the guy's a piece of shit. He ended up beating the fuck out of my mom. I think I was 2.5 or 3, and they got into a fight. and my mom ran with me, and he chased her down and broke her nose, and she fell to the ground with me in her arms. We lived in a transition home. I can't remember the name right now. It was on like the west side of Vancouver. It was really nice, actually. Really, they were really helpful in the situation, right? So, but so before that, and what none of us really knew until later, because I started having you know, visions and stuff like that, and bad dreams, and just real vivid stuff, is that guy was abusing me the whole time he was taking care of me, from the time I was like maybe 18 months to like 2.5, almost 3. And he was also giving me drugs at a really young age, so like coke and like whatever he was dealing with, he would give me too, and he was sexually abusing me. So like that to me, and so no one knew until I was 6 and I started having all these vivid dreams, and my mom brought me in to talk to like a counselor or something like that, and it turned out that another kid had went through the same thing with this guy, so it was like, it wasn't just a dream anymore, it was very real. The story's a little bit hard for me because it involves my whole family, it's not just me, right? But I'm going to share it anyways because maybe one day my story could help someone else. So after all this is found out and whatever, then they charge him with rape or sexual assault or whatever. It was, the terms were different then. It wasn't just sexual assault, it was sexual assault on becoming a minor, or something like that, you know? And he was on the run. He had family in New York and Jamaica. They couldn't find him. I believe like they saw that he crossed the border or whatever, but they couldn't find him. And then eventually we got the news that he died, which we weren't too upset about, as you can fucking picture. But the problem was that he died of AIDS. And he knew that he had AIDS and he didn't tell my mom. So he was having unprotected sex with my mom and me at the same time. And so yeah, it was a lot on my plate as a little kid. It was a lot that I didn't understand and a lot of shit to go through. There was some kind of force that was with us though, because me and my mom both came out clean and didn't have any infection. So that was huge. But that was like, so that was the beginning of my drama and my, you know, I never really functioned in society properly. Schools, work, environments, none of that was ever cool with me because I always felt like I was, you know, there's like a victim bully fucking mentality that at that age I couldn't master how to deal with people. I always thought someone was trying to do me wrong because I was done wrong, right? What's normal to everyone else is not normal to me. I didn't go to high school, I didn't go to prom, there was none of that shit for me. So I really was a late bloomer in some aspects, but while you guys were still in school, I was selling crack and running dope phones, and at like 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, we were all driving around, had phones, cars, money, gold, whatever, at very, very young age, very impressionable age, right? So when I say transferable, I ran my own company when I was 16 years old. When I started at 12, by the time I was 16, I was running my own things and doing my own things. I still had bosses and higher ups and whatever, but I was running my own things, and people seen potential in me because I was a hustler, and I just wouldn't give up, you know? It didn't matter if I got hit and lost everything. I knew what it was to come from nothing over and over again, having shitty cards dealt to you and just picking up and going after whatever I wanted as my goal anyways, no matter what. Well, like I said, at that age, I really didn't know how to process the abuse and the torment that I went through. So I would just, you know, I was rage all the time. I would always flip out, punch holes in the wall, you know, cry. I was emotional too. I wasn't just mean, you know. I really didn't understand what was going on in my head, right? But growing up in group homes was hard too, because it was like, there's no real parents, it's staff, you know what I mean? There's staff come in and out on 12-hour shifts, and they don't give a fuck, they come for the paychecks, right? Wow. I was in a couple of good situations. I was in over 36 group homes and 18 schools, like alternate schools, because I never went to like a regular high school. But I mean, putting kids, high-risk kids in alternate programs just puts them in the rooms with more high-risk kids.
Yeah.
That are just, you know, we're up to our tricks. We only know what we've learned on the streets.
Yeah.
So you put us all in a room together and we're just going to conspire to do more shit, just like throwing people back and forth in prison.
Exactly.
You just learn more shit in prison. I didn't get into trouble in prison, but I hustled in prison and fucking learned more things in prison, and like it doesn't help
the
it.
trade and yeah.
So I never got into a regular high school. I was in like 18 alternate schools, and then I got blacklisted from Vancouver schools, where I couldn't go to school anymore, and I hadn't finished. I was still, like I said, in grade 6 or 7 at that point, but I was already almost 18 or 19 years old, right? So I just gave up on it, and from the age of like 19, no, say from the age of like 21 to 27, all I did was sell crack and heroin, and then just in Vancouver, downtown east side. I'm just, you know, like the struggle don't stop.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah,
I was going to
exactly.
say, you've had a time.
You have had an absolute time.
So that's where I come in with the recovery group. So when I did some time in prison a couple years ago, and when I got out of prison, one of the mandates for the certain halfway house that I lived in was that you had to go to AA and NA, and it was like a part of your living schedule. Like you had to wake up and do like morning prayer and fucking all this study and shit. So I did it, and it was good, but I'm a cannabis user, and I'm medically, I had my ACMPR at that time, and I went to these meetings probably for like a year and a half. I got all kinds of sobriety chips and all kinds of stuff, and then once I finally admitted to all the groups that I was in, that I was a medical cannabis user and that I got it through the government and that it was legal, everyone turned their backs on me. No one wanted to be in the same meeting with me. I was basically outcasted. It was pretty disgusting, really. And then now, like, growing and learning a lot about myself and my situation and my medication and all kinds of stuff like that, I realized that I need those meetings. I need it. I gained a lot of strength from being in those rooms and talking to people. I really wanted to start a meeting group that's 420 friendly. That's, you know what I mean, for people that are suffering with any kind of addiction, alcohol addiction, or, you know, cocaine use, meth, there's fentanyl now, there's all these different things. I'm not really trying to put it towards one thing, but we're a recovery group that's not going to frown upon people that use cannabis. In fact, maybe we can spread other information and help people with new medicine or tolerance or whatever the fuck they're dealing with when it comes to cannabis, because obviously we're in the right circle of people that know what's going on with it. So like, that's going to be huge for so many people that are either lying their way through recovery or just not going through recovery and just go back to the drugs, you know what I mean? Because they get judged so bad. And it was such a huge thing for me, and I'm craving it so much now that I had to do something. So I talk like I just did at those meetings. Mm-hmm. And I will at every meeting until there's a regular group. I'll always share my story whenever there's a new person at the table. You gotta let people know that you're serious about recovery and you're serious about helping other people, and that's really a way to break the ice. And even though it's not breaking ice at all, but it's just, I don't know. It's how, and it's my coping mechanism now. Is how I get relief from talking to you guys, and I get relief from the fact that other people are gonna see this, and like, it's good. So.
Oh, I always think that the more you can talk about something, the less power it has over you. The more you just say to people, understanding people, it loses its hold. It really does.
Yeah.
And
it's hard though, like I had to hold back tears for sure. Like it's not easy.
But you don't even have to hold back tears.
Yeah.
Just let them
No, but like you're not gonna have me crying.
Let them flow.
You're not gonna have me crying on camera. Shit.
Yeah.
But
like, whoa.
No.
But
it is
you have to feel that emotion.
Yeah,
you really have to put yourself in that, unbelievably emotional, vulnerable place. Mm-hmm. But that's you know, they say that for a reason, that outside of your comfort zone is where the big stuff, the magic happens, and that's where the real communication, the helping of others, the proper lessons that we need are too. And so I'm so glad that you shared your story with us here. Like, thank you so much. So much. Seriously, that was,
for bringing us into your beautiful home and sharing Heffy with us and all of it.
Oh, that color is amazing.
You're keeping them comfy.
Yeah, it's a Mexican color.
Just, oh, yes.
Oh.
So just, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you, Canada. Remember to enjoy responsibly.
And don't drive high.
100%. Don't drive high. I think they're hiring at Tim Hortons, and it was like fucking, I felt like someone was like stabbing me repeatedly or something. I was like, really? Is that what life is gonna be for me now? Like, I finally climbed all these fucking mountains and fought lions and tigers, and you want me to fucking work at Tim Hortons?
Live in your mom's basement.
Live in your mom's basement. And I was like, fuck this shit. Man. I was like, I can't do that. So
Yeah.
I
know your limit.